Echoes from the Golden Age tell us one of the greatest love stories ever filmed almost starred a completely different leading man. And the actress who saved it had to beg, plead, and rewrite the entire script just to get the answer she wanted. The role of Hubble was originally written with Ryan O'Neal in mind. A telegram with only 2 words ended the negotiation. And stick around for number 1, because 2 real scenes were cut from this film for reasons that still haunt the woman who fought to keep them more than 50 years later. Number 10. The role was written for a different man entirely. Lawrence had written the role of Hubble with Ryan O'Neal in mind. O'Neal's affair with Streisand was at its end, and producer Ray Stark wanted to avoid conflicts between the leads. One producer was lobbying for Ryan O'Neal to play Hubble. The man who became the gold standard of on-screen romance wasn't even the writer's original idea. He got the part partly because casting his predecessor would have meant reopening an actual breakup. Number 9. Redford said no twice. Streisand was heartbroken. Streisand wrote, "I told Pollock to give him anything he wanted, write more scenes to strengthen his character, make it equal, but Bob's answer was still no. I was heartbroken." Redford was concerned that the script was so focused on Katie that Hubble's character was underdeveloped, which Streisand actually agreed with. A megastar turned the role down not once but twice, and the woman who wanted him most agreed with every reason he gave her. Number 8. The director begged for 1 more week. He got it. Producer Ray Stark wanted to move on and hire someone else, but Streisand said Pollock begged for 1 more week to try and convince Redford. "I told Ray to give it to him and kept praying." The negotiations went down to the wire, Streisand wrote in her memoir. One of the most beloved romances in Hollywood history nearly died in a producer's office, saved only because a director asked for 7 more days to make his case. Number 7. A 2-word telegram sealed the deal. I was in the middle of filming Up the Sandbox in Africa, and one day I got a telegram from Sue Mengers that simply said, "Barbra Redford." That's when I knew he'd finally said yes, Streisand wrote. She found out the most important casting decision of her career through 2 words on a piece of paper, delivered to her on a different continent entirely. Number 6. The most famous gesture in the film was never in the script. One of the movie's most iconic moments wasn't scripted. Bob had this shock of hair that fell over his forehead, and as we did the scene, it seemed perfectly natural for me to brush it back from his eyes. It wasn't in the script. It was just something I felt like doing. In the moment, Streisand wrote. Those watching the dailies loved the gesture, and Streisand made a note to do it a few more times in the story. A single, unplanned moment, repeated on purpose afterward, became one of the most tender images in romantic film history. Before we keep going, quick question for you. How old were you the first time you watched this film, and do you remember the scene that got you the most? Drop it in the comments. Number 5. She hummed to warm up her voice. The director kept it in the movie. Streisand noted in her memoir that she hummed over the introductory bars of the recording to clear my voice and warm up. Pollock loved the humming so much and thought it was perfect for the title sequence. What sounds like a deliberate, haunting musical choice in the opening titles was actually a singer simply clearing her throat before a take. Number 4. Redford didn't want her to sing at all. Redford didn't want her to sing. He didn't want the movie to turn into a Barbra Streisand musical, says Hoffler. But it was a number 1 single, and it revived her recording career. It's also one of the best theme songs from a movie ever. The song that became one of the most iconic movie themes in history almost didn't exist because her own leading man was actively against it. Number 3. They were offered $8 million each for a sequel. He said no forever. There were talks of a sequel. The actors were reportedly offered $8 million each to reunite, but Robert could not be persuaded. He never did a sequel in his entire career, notes Hoffler. Lawrence actually wrote one version set in the late 60s at Redford's urging, bringing Katie and Hubble back together through their daughter's involvement in the anti-war movement, with a sequence set at the riots of the 1968 Democratic Convention. Streisand even considered producing and directing it herself. Nothing ever came of it. A man who never made a single sequel in his entire career in any film turned down an enormous payday to protect a story that had already ended exactly the way it was supposed to. Number 2. A scene she called the very definition of the title got cut entirely. 2 specific scenes were cut from the original version, which Streisand deemed a devastating loss. One scene came after Katie and Hubble's projection room blow-up, when Katie drives through the UCLA campus and sees a girl making a speech about supporting faculty members who refuse to take a loyalty oath. Katie stops to listen. Streisand thought it was the very definition of the title, The Way We Were. It's about looking back at your past and remembering the way you were. The scene the film's own star believed explained its entire meaning, never made it to audiences at all. Number 1. The second cut scene was about betrayal, and a real tribute never got the chance to happen. The second cut scene Streisand was upset about involved Katie and Hubble in their Malibu living room, where Hubble brings up that Frank McVeigh has informed on Katie and the House Un-American Activities Committee has accused her of trying to get the studio to make a subversive film. A role written for a different man. A 2-word telegram. A gesture that wasn't in any script, repeated because it felt right. A song the leading man didn't even want. 2 scenes the film's own star fought to keep. Both lost, including the one moment that explained exactly what the entire story meant. Robert Redford died in September 2025 at 89. Streisand had reportedly been in talks to perform at the 2026 Oscars to honor her late co-star. A tribute 50 years in the making for a partnership that began with a no and never once needed a sequel to prove how much it mattered. That is the way we were. The echo fades. Tell us in the comments which fact surprised you most, and we'll see you in the next one. The scene the film's own star believed explained its entire meaning, never made it to audiences at all.